The map they gave you was never the real one. You were raised on a map that was never meant to show you the world. It was designed to contain you, to shrink you, to trap your imagination inside a tiny blue circle surrounded by oceans that lead nowhere and borders that never made sense, because the map you were taught is not the map the elite use. Their maps show borders you've never seen, land you've never been shown, regions you never knew existed, and gates you were never meant to reach. If you superimpose a modern political map onto satellite imagery, the borders don't line up, not even close. Why? Because borders weren't drawn around nations, they were drawn around energy fields. Ancient grids, ley line intersections, access points. The world isn't divided by countries, it's divided by zones. Zones of control, zones of access, zones of restriction. The elite don't care about flags, they care about frequency. Borders are resonance fences. What they're still hiding is that some zones don't belong to any nation at all. There are coastlines on Earth that no civilian ship is allowed to approach. Not because the land is dangerous, but because what's on that land destroys the global narrative. Unmapped beaches, ice-free coastlines, old stone structures that predate history, regions where the water glows at night because the frequency beneath the surface does not match the rest of the world. These areas appear nowhere on tourist maps, Google Maps, or official atlases. They appear on private military maps, elite navigation charts, Masonic world atlases, from 1800s explorer maps, and Vatican maritime records. They block these coasts because beyond them is more land, more structures, more civilization, more world. There's a corridor in the northern hemisphere, a slice of airspace stretching across the Arctic Circle that no plane ever crosses commercially. Not one, not even with modern tech, because above that corridor the sky does not behave normally. The stars move differently, the horizon line warps, magnetics glitch and compasses spin. Air traffic avoids it because it exposes the real shape and real scale of the world. They say it's for safety, but it's really because the ceiling there isn't sky. It's structure, part of the outer dome, the boundary you're not meant to see, the line between this world and the other terrains. Ancient maps from China, Persia, Tartaria, and the early West all show a fourth major continent north of modern Russia. Not a tiny island, a full civilization. A landmass big enough to rival North America. It had cities, mountains, ports, rivers, a star-shaped capital. And then in the 1600s it vanished from the global record, just gone. The people didn't disappear, the map did. Why? Because that region still exists, and it holds structures from a civilization that the world was reset to erase. A civilization with the same architecture as the impossible buildings you see across Europe, except untouched by war, fire, or time. The biggest secret of all time is that this world has outer territories beyond the ice, each one sealed behind a natural barrier and an artificial frequency field. These lands appear in Sumerian tablets, Norse cosmology, Hopi star maps, Tibetan sky scrolls, Tartarian starfort grids, Jesuit forbidden atlases. They're not mythical, they're literal. The outer oceans are not oceans. They're moats, barriers, separations between realms. Antarctica is not the bottom of the world. It's the wall around the world we're in. Past that wall are the realms they fear you discovering. There is a private world map used only by the highest-ranking military, ancient families, Vatican explorers, elite pilots, and intergovernmental circles. This map shows the outer lands, the sealed gates, the magnetic pillars, the forbidden sea corridors, the dead zones of sky, the inner circle, us, the outer rings, other realms. It's a concentric world, a multi-layered realm, a construct with regions and gates. Your map is the child's version. Theirs is the truth. You're not living on a globe. You're not living on a tiny rock. You're not living in isolation. You're living in one section of a much larger construct, with regions you were never meant to reach. But the cracks are showing, the skies are glitching, the stars are shifting, and the real map is resurfacing. They teach you that the sky is empty, a void, a vacuum, a nothing. But pilots know different. Across the world, from commercial to military, there are sky walls, regions where the atmosphere thickens into something that feels structured. You fly into it and the plane vibrates. You fly too close and instruments glitch. You try to pass through and navigation resets. These sky barriers appear over the north boundary, the South Pole, certain oceanic corridors, sections of the Pacific, regions above Greenland and near restricted military zones. But the real secret? These aren't natural, they are containment layers, frequency walls built to maintain the illusion of a closed world. Once you see the walls, you understand the map. On the old maps, continents were connected. Africa to Arabia, Asia to the Americas, India to Antarctica, Australia to the southern realm. They show these land bridges as ice, shallow sea, or continental shelves, but ancient maps show them as trade routes, pilgrimage roads. They're supply lines, migration paths, meaning people travelled them freely. When the reset happened, sea levels were manipulated, flood myths were created, and these bridges were hidden beneath engineered water, but they still exist. Military submarines use them, elite exploration groups navigate them. They are the invisible roads of the world. The public is told they're ocean trenches, but they're not trenches. They're pathways leading to places we're not meant to reach. The triangle zones are not mystery. They're doors: the Bermuda Triangle, the Dragon's Triangle, the Devil's Sea, the North Atlantic Anomaly. They told you these are danger zones where ships vanish and compasses fail. They're not accidents. These zones are distortion fields, marking the edges of the inner realm, where the construct begins to bend, where the frequency shifts, where the navigation grid breaks down because you're too close to the outer layers. Imagine the world like a ring. Inside the ring, normal physics. Near the edge, at the boundary, glitches. Triangle zones are the fault lines between the inner circle and the outer realms. Ships don't vanish, they cross. That's why entire governments refuse to allow deep exploration of these areas. It isn't about danger, it's about exposure. There is an ocean on Earth that you are not allowed to sail. Not because of storms, not because of depth, not because of wildlife. Because beyond it is another world. This ocean appears on medieval maps, Masonic charts, ancient Polynesian scripts, and 1700s maritime logs. It's not labelled on modern maps. Instead, they drag continental shelves over it, stretch oceans, merge seas, and compress land masses to hide its existence. This is the null ocean, the barrier between realms. If civilians crossed it and saw the land beyond, the entire world model collapses. That is why every naval superpower sits on its borders. The USA, China, the UK, Russia, France. They're not protecting their countries, they're guarding the gate. There is a latitude where darkness turns unnatural. Not midnight, not eclipse, not absence of light. A shadow field, a region where the sky absorbs light instead of reflecting it. Explorers described it for centuries. The darkness grew heavy. We walked into a wall of night. The stars vanished. Modern science ignores these logs, but elite maps mark this region as a frequency curtain. A veil, a barrier. The world they show you ends here. The world that exists begins past it. This is where the real map splits into inner and outer realms. This is the part they fear most. Beyond the null ocean, beyond the shadow line, beyond the ice wall, beyond the sky barrier, are lands untouched by the reset. Civilizations that never fell, architectures that never crumbled, peoples who remember the old world, flora and fauna humans have forgotten. Cities built with energy, not brick, languages sung instead of spoken, a sky unbroken by chemtrails or grids, a horizon unbent by distortion tech. These are the outer realms, hidden, guarded, feared, denied. Not myth, not metaphor. Geography, hidden in plain sight on maps they don't let you see. You are not trapped in a small world. You are sealed in a small section of a vast realm. A realm with gates, a realm with borders not drawn by humans, a realm with continents erased, a realm with oceans engineered, a realm with sky walls, a realm with outer civilizations, a realm they can no longer hide, because the map is returning, the cracks are widening, the frequencies are shifting, and the gates are weakening. And here's the truth they never wanted you to reach. The world didn't shrink, your map did. Every erased coastline, every forbidden sea, every no-fly corridor, every sky wall and triangle zone, they are not mysteries, they are boundaries, edges of a realm far bigger than the story they sold you. You were never meant to believe there was more, because if you knew the world was vast, you'd start walking. If you knew the gates were real, you'd start looking. If you knew the outer lands existed, you'd start asking the questions that collapse empires. And that is what's happening now. The sky is glitching, the borders are vibrating, the oceans are changing shape, the old maps are resurfacing, explorers are speaking again, pilots are slipping the truth, and the cracks in the construct are no longer cracks, they're doorways.